Ghost of Tsushima is about to hit PC, and whether this is your first time playing this incredible game or your second, here are the best tips and tricks for new and returning players to ensure yours and Jin Sakai's success. Let's go! Let me know any tips you have in the comments down below. So firstly, there's some settings that you should check out in the settings screen before you start. There's a lot of different options that were added here for quality of life since Ghost of Tsushima originally launched on PS4. The first one of those is a target locked system. Now you can turn this on, which will then enable you to lock onto, targets, as one would suggest. Now this wasn't here originally at launch, and this is a bit of a double-edged sword and something that I would recommend you try out if you like it. When you do have this enabled and you are locked onto a target, it does pull the camera in a little bit and you can't see sort of around Jin. And in Ghost of Tsushima, the combat itself, the enemies often won't wait for their allies to attack in most games. So the game is sort of built without the target lock in mind, but you can definitely use it. And I do actually use it in some scenarios. I often find that, say, boss fights, or if I'm focusing on a specific elite or brute or something, it's good to have that actually locked on and then just pay attention to my surroundings. Another one is the armor loadout. So you can enable in the settings. This allows you to essentially create builds with the charms, as you can apply charms to all of the different sets. Then you can freely switch between them, which you can at any time, whether you're in combat or not. You can always just immediately switch your gear. And the good example of this is having, say, the Traveler's attire with certain, exploration themed charms on it, because you will be exploring a lot, and the Traveler's attire is what you should use for that. And then, say, having like a stealth armor with stealth charms and a combat armor with combat charms for those sort of scenarios. And you can use the charms on multiple sets. It just saves a particular loadout depending on what sort of builds you want to run with. I would also recommend to check out the hide bow and quiver setting, because the bow and the quiver just kind of get a little bit annoying. It's a little bit in the way, just gives you a bit of a cleaner look without it. And there's also a new difficulty mode called lethal, which is significantly harder and you will die very quickly after 1 or 2 hits. But if you want that extra challenge, you've got that option there too. So the game itself is separated between 3 acts, and each act has its own region of Tsushima, which you will naturally progress through. But when you're in those regions, you can freely explore and do any of the side quests, mythic tales, etc. that you want to do. But there is also the DLC that was added, Iki Island, which once you reach Act 2, this will then unlock for you and you can go there at any time, pretty much from that point onward. I would recommend to go there about this point, once it is unlocked. There is new mythic tales as well as other rewards and unique skills like the horse charge that you can get from it. It'll also help you sort of level yourself up and get ready for the difficulty that comes from the end of Act 2 and into Act 3, because you'll be a bit more powerful because of that. But it's definitely a fun expansion that you should definitely check out. Now, the mythic tales that we just touched on is something that you really should be doing first or as soon as you see them come up. Mythic tales will unlock unique skills and equipment to really drastically improve Jin's capabilities in combat. Not only can you get unique arrows like an explosive arrow or something from that, with a longbow, you also get unique armor, but there's also skills that are specifically tied to this, like the Dance of Wrath, which is one of my favorites, that allows you to essentially kill 3 targets. When you have 3 resolve, you can trigger this and use this sort of like an ultimate attack in a way, right? There's plenty of these that you'll be able to find. You'll be able to see them on your map as they're marked with blue, and you can always see when you're looking at any quest or mission, you can see what the actual rewards are, so you can see if it's going to give you something significant or just say some materials, which we'll touch on those materials and the uses a little bit later in this video. But some other upgrades you should always be on the hunt for is foxes. When you see foxes, you can follow them to shrines, which will increase the amount of charms you can equip after a certain amount of these collected. Hot springs are great to allow you to reflect on your past and increase your maximum health, and the bamboo strikes will allow you to increase your overall resolve, which is significantly important for your healing mechanic as well as any of those mythic skills we just touched on earlier. And if you ever get lost, right, you can mark stuff on the map, and there are skills tied to being able to find things like the fox dens or the hot springs, etc. If you unlock those skills, you can use the guiding target to say mark them on your map if you wanted to go and find where they are. There are 4 stances in combat, and these is the primary combat mechanic that you will want to unlock as fast as possible, because it will significantly improve your overall combat prowess. Each stance is strong against a particular type of enemy, and later in the game there are enemies that will switch their types, essentially unequipping or equipping shields or switching to a spear, etc. So you'll need to play that rock paper scissors game of switching your stance to match whatever their current setup is. Now, in order to unlock these stances, you will need to progress through these progress points by defeating fighting the elites at the various Mongol camps. You can actually gain an additional point of progress for every leader by observing them from stealth before you have entered combat. So essentially you can double your speed of actually getting these by doing this for basically every leader you come across. Once you've unlocked the stances, you should be using those technique points that you get from all of your missions and just exploration, etc., to unlock the skill upgrades for each of the stances, because they will make much more of a difference to your overall combat ability than a lot of the more passive skill benefits that you can get, unless you are focusing on a completely stealth build. But there are certain skills that are better than others, and it's sort of up to your playstyle, whether you're playing more as the shinobi or the samurai. If a fight is getting out of hand though, those ghost abilities like the kunai can be super valuable to stagger enemies and slow the pace of combat, because it will knock them back. And you can actually slow down time briefly when you do hold the stance button when you're switching between stances. So if you want to, say, orientate yourself a particular way, or just give yourself a little bit of a chance to figure out what's going on in the combat encounter, you can do that as well. The goods that you'll find throughout the world are used for a bunch of different things. Supplies are the standard currency, like say your coins in most other games. Flowers are used for your armor and weapon dyeing, and predator hides are used to upgrade how many ranged and quickfire items you can carry. Now, for the most part, you'll just find these items around the map. Predator hides, however, you'll actually need to defeat any of the creatures that you come across. You'll be able to get predator hides from them. Now, you'll bring these and any of the other materials you find in enemy camps to the major villages and find the vendors that will then use these materials to upgrade your gear. All the upgrades need supplies and some other types of materials. Woods, for example, are used to upgrade your bows and their capabilities. Your metals are used to upgrade your swords, either their damage or their assassination capabilities. The cloth is used to upgrade your armor. This will either upgrade the passive benefits that it has or add additional ones depending on the armor piece. It will also change the overall appearance of the armor as well, which you can then change back if you don't like it in the settings. You can also buy cosmetics like dyes and new sword sheaths at any of the merchants, and there are some unique dye vendors as well that have their own colors, like say the white dye vendor in the first area of the map. Those predator hides you will use to upgrade the capacity of your various ghost tools as well as your bow ammo. So they are really important. So anytime you see those creatures like pop up or they try and attack you, you should actually defeat them rather than run away, because you get those predator hides you can use for those upgrades. And the best way to find materials in general is by clearing camps, as there is always materials in the buildings in those camps. Wood's pretty easy to come by, like in your forests, but clearing the camps is definitely the best way to just get the fair amount of these sort of materials and supplies. You can also buy some of them from trappers as well. Like say if you're just a couple short, you can trade in some supplies for some materials. I wouldn't be doing this too much because you do need those supplies yourself, but if you're just one or two short, you can do that as an option. But that is everything I've got for you today. Let me know any tips you have in the comments for Ghost of Tsushima. Are you picking this up on PC? I'm really keen to play this game again. It is a fantastic visual experience and it's a great open world game to check out. But thank you guys for watching this video till the end. Thank you to our members for supporting the channel. My name is Norza, and I hope you have a great day.